I hear you guys?
I can hear you now.
No, I don't hear anything. So I don't know why.
I didn't hear the countdown music.
Stopped hearing things.
Oh, okay. I thought it was just me. I was like, yeah, they said the mobile device support was limited.
So
I was like, I guess I don't get countdown music.
So great. All right. Well, I'm just gonna wear these big ass headset. I don't know what's happening. I can't hear anything. I wanted to come in all like fast and furious, like we're ready to go.
Nothing's going as planned tonight.
Yeah, tonight's a weird night, and well, I just I don't even know where to start. My wife will be grateful, but I'm at a loss for words. She's going to be grateful for that part. But big news tonight. Primetime Live just happened. I hope you all just watched it. We just watched it. There's a lot to talk about, so we're going to jump right into it. What's up, you beautiful people? This is Gary Horde, and this is the NWA. It's the podcast celebrating the past, present, future, history, legacy, and tradition of the greatest pro wrestling entity of all time. We're talking about the National Wrestling Alliance. Tonight, specifically, we're going to be talking about the past, present, and future of the Women's Championship, the Burke, which, God bless you, Todd Kinnelly. We heard you. You helped push that along tonight, and now it is becoming official. This thing is the Burke, and so we can't thank you enough for that. So just getting that out of the way right now. But I am not alone as we talk about United Wrestling Network's Primetime Live, the latest episode. We're coming to you in the after show. Thank you, everybody. By the way, there's so many of you. You're here in the chat, and we are so grateful for you. Appreciate you. Make sure you hit like. Make sure you hit subscribe if you're new. We're going to get into this thing, but I have to introduce my co-host who always joined me from his studio apartment in Los Angeles, California. It's Will Martin. Hey, Will.
Yeah. Not accurate, but yeah, I'm here.
And coming to us live from the graveyards of Tijuana, Mexico, where he is paying homage right now and mourning Dr. Rob Stinson. Hey, Rob, how you feeling over there, buddy?
Oh, it's been a rough night, guys. I'm not going to lie, but I'm here.
I don't hear him. Am I the only one that doesn't hear him?
Yep, I hear him.
Why don't I hear anything now?
I don't know. I hear you, Rob.
Thank you, Will. Tell him what I said.
No, he came back. I don't know what the hell's going on.
I just said it's been a rough night, and but you know, I'm here with the fam and wouldn't miss it. And yeah, I am in the graveyards of Tijuana right now, and I am in mourning.
Oh, I don't know how we even attempt to talk about anything else right now up top at the beginning of this show other than the fact that there is a brand new NWA Women's Champion, the hottest female act, the hottest wrestling act possibly in the world, Thunder Rosa, who has been NWA Women's Championship, the owner of the Burke for so long, like 200 and almost 300 days, right, Rob? It was something like that. And then tonight, in her second contest with Serena Deeb, who proved to be no slouch, proved it last time, but definitely this time, it just wasn't enough. Serena Deeb came out on top and pinned La Mera Mera 1, 2, 3, center of the ring. We've got a new champion. Serena Deeb now holds the Burke, and she is part of the tradition that is the National Wrestling Alliance. I if I sound like I'm a little lost, it's just because I don't know. I just did not see this coming. This just blew my freaking mind. How did you guys feel?
Yeah, man, I'm still kind of speechless. I'll try to piece together. I mean, you know, we've seen in just the past several months, like some incredible matches from Thunder Rosa. And so honestly, I mean, there was not a moment until the very end that I thought she was not going to come out retaining the championship. And it was a swerve for me, man. Total shock. How I feel about it is going to be TBD for now, because I did appreciate Serena Deeb's speech after the match, honoring the legacy and tradition, and we'll see where it goes. Obviously, there's a number of ways it can go, and listen, as much as we love Thunder Rosa, and I agree that she's probably the best, at least most exciting wrestler that I've watched, in the last year. It could be good for storylines. So we don't know. I'm a little cautious and reserved in judgment, and I'm not gonna, try to freak out about it. But we'll see what happens. It was a total shock, though, for me.
Man, can you hear me, Gary? Okay.
We can't hear you, but go ahead, Gary. Go ahead, Rob.
I had it muted.
Hear me?
What is wrong today? I'm all befuddled. It's a kerfluffle over here in the studio. I'm so sorry, everybody. Yeah, Rob, I feel for you. My heart aches for you, for Brian, for Thunder. Like it just, for all of Texas.
Well, I have I've got a lot of emotions going through right now, just like we do. I mean, I remember my brother and I growing up in the 80s, we were big Mike Tyson fans. And I remember the Buster Douglas match, man. I mean, I was just a kid, but I remember it was gut wrenching. I remember when Flair lost the belt to Dusty in '86, but then I reflect, and I don't want this to sound like, first of all, let me say this. Congratulations to the new world's champion. You are now at the top of your game. You now hold the most prestigious belt in the world. I hope you bring it great credit. I hope if you do a fraction of what Thunder Rosa has done the last 300 days, you will go down as a good champion. Okay. So let me say that you got to give credit where credit's due. Always give credit where credit's due. I think, there's going to be a day, many, many hundreds of days from now, when Nick Aldis is going to wake up not the champion, but he is the kind of man that's going to look at his opponent and say, you won the title on this day. You were the better man, and you deserve the respect of being the world's champion. We're talking about the Burke now. The Burke, which has a lineal heritage and pedigree going back to the 1930s. And in my lifetime, there have been a lot of really intriguing women's champions. There have been only a couple of champions that I would consider great champions. You got Jazz, obviously. I think Allison Kay, if her reign was a little longer, she'd be in that boat too, because she's such a fierce competitor. But in my lifetime, the greatest women's champion that I've seen has been Thunder Rosa. And she did it in spite of the fact that she did not get the opportunity to defend this belt in front of major audiences because of the pandemic. She did it in spite of the fact that the world shut down. She found a way to go out there week after week after week and defend this belt on the Destruction Tour against the best female competition in the world. Then I think about the history of world championships and how weird things happen, unexpected things happen. So, I mean, who would have thought that one day a young boy from Georgia named Tommy Wildfire Rich would win the title? Who would have thought that Ronnie Garvin would have put Ric Flair's shoulders to the mat? Who would have thought that, Ric Flair would have lost the belt to Kerry Von Erich only to get it, 14 days later? Things happen like that in wrestling. Wrestling is a gentleman's sport. It's a sport in which on any given day, if you're at the top of your game, anybody can beat anybody. That's the bottom line. And so now we're faced with the reality that it just so happens to be that the greatest women's wrestler in the world, Thunder Rosa, got beaten tonight. Tonight, Serena Deeb was a little bit better. But, Ric Flair won it 16 times. Harley Race won it 8, 9, 10 times, something like that, depending on which titles you count. The Moolah won it so many times. The Burke, Mildred Burke won it so many times. We all got to know that this is just a minor setback for Thunder Rosa. I'm sad because I was really hoping that we would get to a point where Thunder Rosa was building up those 7, 8, 9, 10, 1,100 day title reigns and stuff like we did in days of old. I I'm excited because anytime there's a world championship transition, it's a really important thing. And it's especially important if it's this belt. This is the belt that matters. I'm really interested to hear from Thunder Rosa. I don't, I want to hear what she says and her response. I know it's going to be very respectful and congratulatory because this is an athlete who understands the risk that you take anytime you step in the ring against the top. And we said it last time. When she wrestled Serena Deeb in AEW, we all acknowledge Serena Deeb is a world-class champion. You put any of these women in the ring at any given time, and Serena Deeb can win against anybody, whether it's Thunder Rosa, Hikaru Shida, Bayley, whoever. I don't care. We're talking about the best of the best. And it just so happens tonight that we have a new queen on the throne. The queen is Serena Deeb, and long live the queen.
Yeah, it's funny. I was watching this match. I was telling Will this before we went live. I was actually saying, as I was watching it, I was just enjoying how good both women are. Like, they're just both phenomenal athletes. And just even from their first match, I knew that already. I mean, Serena Deeb, for those who don't know, I mean, this is a lady who's, she's been around for a bit and has battled back from her own demons and through her own trials and tribulations to get back to the place she's in now. So she has quite a story. But she was in a position where she was helping out with WWE, training the next generation of wrestlers. And then unfortunately, due to the pandemic, she was let go and she ended up being part of AEW. And I think it was her actual tryout match technically was the match with Thunder Rosa. And afterwards, they, of course, couldn't have Thunder Rosa, but they made sure to go ahead and sign Serena Deeb ASAP. So this is not any slouch. This is not a nobody. This is a hugely talented woman who just stepped up and gave it her all, and she earned it tonight. She had to earn it tonight. And what I was telling Will that I was going to say is, I was sitting there watching it, and I was almost about to tweet out or throw in our Discord or something saying man, Serena could win tonight. I wouldn't even be mad because God, she's badass. And then it happened, and then I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I was not ready for this. I was, I don't know. It's just, it's almost like a bad breakup. It feels rough, man. And I know we've all had our stuff tonight. Rob's coming from Tijuana because his internet stopped working. I clearly can't get it together in the studio. Everybody is discombobulated except Will, who's always cool, calm, and collected.
Yeah, I'm doing all right.
But
let me say, Gary, I just want to tell Thunder Rosa, man, from my heart. I'm very sorry that she lost the belt tonight. I'm very sad. I really am legitimately sad. I'm sad. And I just want to give her a hug, man. And, tell her that the NWA fam loves her and we still love her and we're going to, and we expect her to reclaim this title and to have a long and storied tradition. But I also want to say that I'm not going to have a lot of patience and I'm on my phone. I can't see anything in the chat. I know nothing. I can't, unless I've got my glasses on, I can't read the chats that Gary puts up. So I'm just speaking from the heart. But I saw some stuff earlier on my way down here. I'm gonna have a hard time being patient with comments like, putting the belt on an AEW talent or this blah 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 blah. Because if you're saying that you're not really understanding, you're not listening to what we've been saying for months, and that is irrelevant. It does not matter. You have to understand the NWA is trans promotional. It's meta promotional. It does not matter if she were New Japan, WWE, whatever. The NWA belt can legitimately be defended and won by any person from any promotion. It's what makes it the greatest because it truly is a world's title. So before you get froggy and decide to throw that junk up, I'm not going to see it anyway, but that's the kind of junk that's going to piss me off tonight.
Well, it's certainly stuff that's popped up. We've seen it, and I'm with you, Rob. I think that's what makes this, the Burke and the 10 pounds of gold, all of them a little more special, is that they could show up anywhere, anytime. Anybody can step in. That's one of the cool parts, even about UWN Prime Time Live right now. The UWN and the NWA have a show where, look at who's showing up already. Look who's in the title tournament for UWN right now. It's MLW, it's AEW, it's ROH, it's whoever. Anybody can show up at any point. So, it is. It's a meta promotion, like you're saying, and I can't say it enough that Serena Deeb, I don't care who she works for, she's not a pushover. This is a legitimately badass woman, and I don't know how you'd watch that match tonight and not think that she is very capable of carrying the NWA Championship. And that promo she cut afterwards was fantastic, and with a lot of respect for the history that falls on that belt.
And she called it the Burke too, didn't she? She called it the Burke also, right?
Well, she at least mentioned Mildred Burke, like in the promo. I know.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, absolutely, Gary. I mean, this is a woman who deserves the belt. She deserves it. She's earned the right to compete. And now, whether she's an AEW talent or not, guess what? Now she's an NWA talent. She's got the belt. She's got the only belt that matters, the Burke.
Yeah, she's on top of the world right this second. And Rob, you mentioned Thunder being classy and respectful. I mean, they did shake hands at the end of this matchup, and Thunder was very classy about the loss. And I mean, look, that was just the second match. Just like Cody and Aldis, there's got to be a number 3 somewhere in here. There's got to be a rubber match for this one. You got to see it, and so I can't wait. So this is all part of the future of wrestling, man. This is things are opening up. The walls are coming down. People are going to be able to show up. You never know who you're going to see. We may get, God bless him, Hammerstone versus Nick Aldis one day. Meat Mountain. Oh, come on, versus the National Treasure. I mean, we can only dream, and I do. Anyway,
the sausage saint himself.
I'm gonna pitch that to him. He should definitely take that. Sausage saint. Oh my God. All right. Well, let's run down this show. Let's just start from the beginning. Let's get through this thing, and let's talk about it. Then we can throw to the chat and talk to you folks and see what you all thought about it. I'm seeing it in the chat. Thank you, everybody who's joining us from Facebook. Nicholas McGee, I see you there. I see our friends on Twitter and YouTube with Front Row Jedi Warrior, Roxas79. Some of you new people, it seems like. So make sure you hit subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that like button and the bell, too, while you're just pushing buttons, and let you know when we go live just like this. So it'll be a lot of fun. All right, so this show started off with our standard green screen promos like normal, and straight into our very first matchup. It was Kevin Martinson versus Ray Rosas for the Hollywood Heritage Championship. This was a good opener. It was Ray Rosas' debut on Prime Time Live. I was thinking during this match, how does he feel that he just took the top title in UWN and then they introduced a world title? Like,
yeah.
But Martinson, the story of the match here was Martinson gets that back worked over. He goes for like a huge dive over the top rope and lands flat back on the ramp. Just ridiculous. And at one point, Ray Rosas rips his freaking beard off. Like, I mean, you saw that, right, Will? Like, did you feel that pain? Like, there were just like chunks of beard hanging down.
Yeah, listen, I've got a 2-year-old, so I'm used to, like, that happens to me like every other day. So I was feeling that.
Yeah, that was painful. Good God. But luckily, not luckily for Martinson. Ray Rosas works that back enough that he ends up finishing off Martinson and getting the 1-2-3 clean. And Ray Rosas retains his Hollywood Heritage Championship. He's also the Arizona State Championship. So anyway, any thoughts on that, Will, that you wanted to throw in there?
I thought it was a great opener. I love good ring work like that, where his back was getting worked over. It became a factor all throughout the match, ended up being a factor in the finish. Just really good, solid. The best way I can describe it is just a good classic wrestling match, which is what we all tune in to see. So it was a great way to kick off the show.
Totally agree. And so next up, we're introduced to Todd Kinley, James Kincaid, and Blake Troop hanging out at the commentary booth, but they're joined by Aaron Stevens, the shooter. He brings his chair. He's a little disappointed at first because he brought a chair and didn't realize everybody else was up on stools. So that was the first bummer for him, I think. very very outspoken Aaron Stevens. He just gets on the mics and is just talking about how he was screwed over. He hasn't heard from the NWA. He doesn't know what their problem is. They're ignoring him. And Trevor stole that title from him, the third-degree national title. But he's been thinking about things, and he was tired of being robbed, and he's going to work his tail off, and he guarantees he's getting question mark back in the United States of America ASAP within the next few weeks. He's getting past customs and everything else. And by this time, they're like, hey, man, we're live. You got to get out of here. The stage manager comes up, tries to escort Stevens out, like grabs him around the waist, is trying to pull him. Stevens seems like he's going, but he grabs the chair he brought out and wallops the stage manager with the chair. And, I got to be honest, it was kind of a cool scene. The stage manager laid out. Stevens gets down in the Fabio pose or something, laying next to him. Says, what did he say, Will? Sometimes I paint in poetry or something. And
he said something to the effect of, I'm an artist, and sometimes I paint with humor and sometimes with blood. Something like that.
That's what it was. It was beautiful. And
it was good.
And he says, and now what he's going to do is the NWA is ignoring him, so he's just going to bring the question mark back in, and he wants to put James Storm and Eli Drake on notice that he's just going to go take those tag team titles with the question mark. And so the challenge is issued, and we have now our fourth NWA title match, presumably scheduled. I can't imagine James Storm and Eli Drake back down from a challenge, so that is on the horizon. And I don't know. I mean, in the primetime era, the primetime live era of NWA, nobody's hanging on to those titles, it looks like. I mean, Thunder got through one, but other than that, Nick Aldis is the only champion that is still the champion so far that's competed on the show. We've seen Zicky Dice drop the TV title to the Pope, and the national title going over to Trevor Murdoch. So what are you guys feeling? Like, Rob, if the question mark comes back and he joins Aaron Stevens, what happens to Eli Drake and James Storm? Can they overcome the Mongrovian Mountain?
No, they can't. Is the answer. They can't do that. And don't get me wrong, like, no disrespect to Eli Drake or James Storm. I was just hanging out with James Storm just a couple days ago, I mean, I seen the guy. I seen the intensity.
Whoa.
He still got it. We sat there and watched him wrestle back in Impact. Back
celebrities,
years
make
ago.
sure you name drop them.
What's that?
I said, if you meet some celebrities, make sure you name drop them.
Man, I be meeting celebrities all the time, man. Shoot, I had I'm not gonna even mention May Valentine unless you want me to. But yeah, man. Gosh, man. I mean, on an otherwise very a night full of heartache for me, the prospect of the question mark coming back, man, is like, that's the silver lining. I love Aaron Stevens. I think, WWE Front Row and I got to be on a Patreon chat with him a week ago, I think it was. And he even said that very line. Some artists paint with paint. Some, I guess, others paint with blood, and
good one.
So I would love it. And I think obviously anytime Aaron Stevens is in the equation, he's instantly a legitimate title threat. You're looking at James Storm, who's one of the most prolific tag team wrestlers of all time. I think he is one of the co-holders of the all-time NWA. My facts might be wrong here. Maybe if James Lawrence is in the chat, he can correct me. But I think James Lawrence has held more NWA tag team championships than anybody else with various different partners, even more so than the Rock and Roll Express. And he and Eli Drake are, man, they're a crazy, crazy, crazy powerful force. But, they've not been wrestling together for a while. They don't have that Mongrovian karate pedigree, and obviously Aaron Stevens is very, very, very hungry right now. Very hungry. So this,
Rob, I know you can't see this, so I just like to mention to you that Front Row made an interesting observation about how you're bragging about hanging out with May Valentine, and now you're literally just out in the cold.
purely, hey. me sleeping on the couch tonight has nothing to do with May Valentine. Well, at least not entirely.
There's also Rachel Rose. That's still happening.
I'll tell you this. A gentleman never kisses and tells. Let's leave it at that.
Rob, you're going to ruin May Valentine ever coming back on the show. I feel it. But you know, while you were saying this, it's an interesting fact. Like as you were talking, it hit me too that James Storm's another proper example of exactly what you were talking about before with Serena Deeb and that sort of thing. I mean, here's a guy who set his contracts up. He's bouncing around. He just showed up on Bound for Glory. The guy is all over the place. He could show up anywhere at any time. He was at your local promotion there. And then yet again, he is still the NWA, one half of the NWA Tag Team Champions. And until we hear otherwise, that is still the case. So it doesn't matter if he signs with Impact or whoever. This guy still has an NWA title. So another example of that, I guess. Speaking of tag teams, though, by the way, Real Money Bros, Big Money Clutch, and R&B Suge took on the Bodega, Papa Esco, and our boy Danny Limelight. And this was a fantastic match. This was an excellent tag team match. I had a blast watching this when these guys were all over the place. And Danny Limelight was definitely the most undersized, I would say, out of these guys, because these look like some bruisers in there. And but damn, he looks good, man. Fly, like just some of his moves, like I don't know. It was just a great match. And of course, our boy Danny gets the pin at the end there, and the 1, 2, 3. And the Bodega gets a victory here, and I think some much needed momentum that they really could have used. They've taken a couple of L's on Primetime Live, so it was nice to see them pick up the W for once. Well, what'd you think about this as our resident tag team fanatic?
Oh man, this was a fantastic tag team match. Both these teams are so in sync with their partners. They also seemed very in sync with each other in the cadence of this match and the rhythm of it. And it was just very compelling to watch start to finish. And, I love that Limelight got the pin. I thought, man, he did some just out of this world stuff with, when he did the Meteora off the ropes where he kind of did the tightrope walk and then springboarded off. And that was super cool. But I also like how they mentioned when he was coming out, he kind of stopped and eyed that UWN Championship belt sitting there. He kind of did a double take. They had it positioned right there on the stage. And I like that commentary pointed that out. I mean, we talked to him a couple of weeks ago on this show, and he made it, no bones about it that, he wants to be in that equation. He's not in the tournament. But he's definitely already got his sights set on it. So that was a cool, I just like that little touch they did there. But yeah, the match was great. I mean, Real Money Brothers are, man, they're ferocious, they're tough. And I mean, as I said, just the cadence and the fast pace, parts of this match were just super compelling. And I loved it as a tag team guy.
Man, I'm going to tell you right now, first of all, let me say that I would just love for Will just to do a podcast, not a video, just a podcast where he just talks and says words like cadence and rhythm. Will's got the most soothing, relaxing, charming voice of all. I'm sitting here I fall in love with Will over and over again every week, twice a week even. I love
You're such a flirt. You talk to May Valentine that way?
Hey man, a gentleman doesn't kiss and tell. I'm gonna tell you, and I will tell you. I mean, some call it. She may even call it a date. It was just for me. It was just it was just work. You know what I mean? But y'all call it what you want. But
so much work escorting May Valentine.
Hey man, I mean, me. I'm here. I'm here tonight. I'm here out here in the doggone parking lot just because I love you guys. I did not get to see this match. So the only insight I'm going to be able to provide is contextual. I love how you mentioned commentary, and they're always providing context and insight. And I just wanted to point out, if I'm allowed to say the letters AEW on here, that Danny Limelight has performed tonight on both AEW and UWN Prime Time on the same night. This is going to be a breakout star. He's one that we called it. We said he's going to be a big deal, and he is a big deal. And he has every right to look at that belt and think that he should be in the equation.
Let me say this, because there was a little part that I missed. Did they make a Rick Rude reference during that match?
I'm trying to recall, like you saying that it sparked something it feels right.
So I mentioned my 2-year-old a few minutes ago. He was having trouble going to sleep. So I stepped away towards the beginning of that match for just like 45 seconds to go help him. And I remember hearing them talk about Rick Rude. And that to me would be a reference to when Rick Rude was on 2 shows in one night. If y'all remember that.
Oh, yeah, right.
So that would be another
good
tip of the hat to commentary for making that reference. So that just hit
very
me.
good insight. I didn't even. Wow. Holy cow, Will. You just gave me dango chills, man.
Man, I'm killing it tonight. This is great.
Are you sure that's not, you just need to turn on the heat in your car?
Yeah.
Nah, man. He bringing up Rick Rude, pulled a Lex Luger out.
Will's going to make you record like a book on tape for him, or Rob's going to have you record like an audio book for him so he can like go to sleep at night listening to the dulcet tones of Will Martin.
I don't know if I'm comfortable with that.
I just want to change my ringtone to Will Martin and be like, Good morning, Dr. Rob. Today is the 739th day of the reign of Nick Aldis. keep a good rhythm and cadence. Keep a good rhythm and cadence all day, and people like you, or something like that. Right?
I don't know if I could say all that in good faith, but yeah.
Oh man. So next up, we got a nice little like a pirate promo. Not the pirate promo that Aaron Stevens, not tropical pirates or whatever it was. It was Redbeard is arriving on November 3rd, 2020. It was like a Viking or pirate thing. All I wrote in my notes was Redbeard arrives November 3rd. Nice package. So, just
you said that.
Yeah, so interesting. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe that was an interesting way for me to write those notes. Speaking of, Dirty Daddy shows up in the back. Chris Dickinson's there, and he basically just gives a brief interview saying he thinks this ask and he shall receive. This is what he's been waiting for this whole time. He's been begging for some kind of competition, and now they're delivering. He's in this tournament, and now he's got people like Redbeard. He's got people like Davey Boy Smith Jr., Mike Bennett, Fred Rosser, Carl Fredericks, all coming in. And he says, that's great, but just keep in mind, you're walking into my house. So take your shoes off, say your respects, or I'll kick your ass right back out the door you walked in. And that basically he's like, because when you're here, I am the apex predator. I am the great white shark. And there you go. So basically, Dirty Daddy laying it down for the competition in the tournament. Will, what's on your mind over there? I see you. Is it the apex predator comment?
Yeah, apex predator. That's a pretty obvious a jab.
Yeah.
No, I like this. I like that. I like that he has assumed the ownership that we've kind of already attributed to him as being, the guy in UWN Primetime Live. I mean, he was kind of their first announced talent that they signed. He's been on pretty much every episode. I think the one that he wasn't on, I think he still had a promo, or they showed a clip. He was still visually, he was on the show. So I mean, he's definitely been the tie that has brought all this together, and so I like that he's owning that. He's stepping into that. This is my house. I love the line about take your shoes off. For some reason that was just so descriptive to me of like, when you go into someone's house, you take your shoes off. It's a sign of respect, and so I thought that was a cool line, and yeah, it was cool how he framed all that, and obviously we'll get into the match with him and Peter Avalon, but he's definitely continuing to establish himself as that, the dirty daddy, the scary guy that is here to beat everyone's ass. So
we all know that he took Moxley to the limit at Bloodsport. I'm curious, does he give any one of you two or anyone in the chat like he does to me? Does he give any one of you guys like Moxley vibes? Like he's coming in as that. I remember when Moxley entered AEW and, sort of the renegade, he was out for blood. He was out to show himself as the apex predator and this and that. It seems almost like there's a similar vibe there.
There really is. Yeah, there really is. Like when you look at them and there's like a culture about them that, when I watch Moxley on AEW right now, there's like this cool side of him too that I like, that no matter how, like Stone Cold was one thing, but it's like there's the air of Stone Cold, but there's also this like pride in being a professional wrestler, and there's this like lust for competition, and just they both carry themselves like that. Like they want to have a wrestling match. They want to. I don't know. It's a little bit different. Like there's like a respect for the ring. Not saying that Steve Austin didn't respect it, but I think you get what I mean. He just I think I've said this before, but like Chris Dickinson, I didn't know what to expect with that guy. I mean, he wore the backwards cap and the tank top that he had on. He's calling himself the Dirty Daddy. I was expecting like some Jersey Shore reject or something like that. Like I think that's what I thought he was going to be, but now. Like he slowly like just evolved into this like very serious, legit fighter. And like he's the real deal. And especially seeing him at Bloodsport, just like even the bows that he took, and you're like, no, this is a highly trained, highly qualified competitor. And I totally respect him. Yeah. Even though he's walking around calling himself the Dirty Daddy and the Filthy Father, there's like he's very serious when he steps through the ropes.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think just, coming in and you said it really well, Gary, when you talk about a guy like Stone Cold, he would just come in and wreak havoc. There's almost like a controlled chaos when you talk about Moxley and Chris Dickinson, where you're right. I mean, they want to take care of things in the ring. He's not coming in and like wrecking the set and beating people up backstage and that kind of stuff. He's wanting in-ring competition, and he's going after it, and he's ruthless about it. So yeah, it's definitely the same kind of vibes. And I'll say, their collision that they had at Bloodsport, Moxley and Chris Dickinson, to me, it really solidified him. Seeing him in that setting and seeing him, take the AEW World Champion to the limit was just, further proof to me that he is someone to be reckoned with. And I made my prediction that he's gonna win the tournament. Obviously, we'll talk about that match, and it was a little bit in question tonight, but I still stand behind that prediction, and I think he's the prime candidate to do it.
Not so fast there, Will. Not so fast.
But you can't not so fast. You not so fasted me last week. You can't do that again.
I think again, everything I agree. You said I agree with up to a point. He obviously, there's certainly. The Attitude Era was about like dismissing. It was like respect became disrespect. You know what I mean? Disrespect was the new respect. It became respectful to defy the gentleman's rules and the convention that we know to make up what is the greatest sport of all time, pro wrestling. Moxley's not like that, because Moxley really truly, Moxley too, but Dickinson really truly does respect the sport. He really does. I mean, you can see it like Gary was saying at Bloodsport, showing the reverence and taking the bows in the ring and showing deference to the opponent. And no matter what a man says in the promo, that he's got a job to do. He's got a job to intimidate and put himself over. But when he gets in the ring, we've said it before, Dickinson observes the gentleman's rules. He observes the parameters of the squared circle. He does not cheat. He wants to win. He wants to win by the book and show everybody that he can win under these circumstances, on equal terms. And so, but Will, will he win this championship? And the answer to that is no, he will not win the championship. He will come close, but the man who's going to win this championship is Mike Bennett.
All right. Well, we'll jump into that in just 1 second because we'll have to get into the co-main event because for some reason, well, we'll talk about it in a minute because I don't know why Serena Deeb versus Thunder Rosa wasn't the main event of the show. But that aside, breaking news, since we've already a little bit talked about Thunder Rosa and Serena Deeb, shout out to our boy Front Row who always helps us out and produces and is a moderator in the chat. He just jumped in with some deep info here. Tony Khan just tweeting out that Serena Deeb will be defending the NWA Women's Championship tomorrow night on AEW against Layla Hirsch. So already just right back at it, a fighting champion, Serena Deeb, go ahead and putting the belt on the line against someone. So that was quick. Rob shaking your head over there. You just it's bittersweet, isn't it, Rob?
No, I mean, it's cool. I love seeing the greatest belt in the world being defended on the grandest stages and getting the most exposure. But I just feel like, gosh, man, Thunder Rosa should get a rematch. She should get the first crack at it, I mean,
that's a good point.
She earns the right to have an off night from time to time. And when that happens, she should be able to redeem it with a rematch. So,
what happened, Rob, maybe what happened is Serena Deeb was already facing Layla Hirsch, and she decided that as the NWA Women's Championship, the only honorable thing to do is I need to put the title on the line when I'm in the ring.
Well, I can respect that. I do. I just, it's like, to me, gosh, I don't want this belt to take a number of detours and away from Thunder Rosa. I want it to be back. I want to see it. I want to see it next Saturday or next Friday night at Mission Pro.
Yeah, I know what you mean, man. That's one of the things that disappointed me. Mission Pro had a lot of stuff get upended tonight. It was kind of crazy. We saw Red Velvet and Alex Gracia are not going to be a part of the show. I was concerned about it in our Discord. I was supposed to have an interview with Red Velvet tomorrow, but that has been canceled or postponed for now. So hopefully everything's okay on her end. And but anyway, so right now you can go to Twitter and vote on a poll Mission Pro threw up that somebody out of that fatal four-way between it was Rochelle Riveter, Heidi Howitzer, the Insidious One, and Vanity. You can vote for who you think should get an entry into the title tournament that's going on right now. They'll move somebody from the four-way into that. So next up, we covered this pretty in depth. Serena Deeb versus Thunder Rosa, NWA Women's Championship. What I was going to say I was just disappointed that this wasn't the main event. I mean, I was disappointed at the beginning of this match. This wasn't the main event. I was like, how is this the NWA Women's Championship? The Burke. It's not being defended as the main event. That aside, I don't know if we have anything extra we want to add here. I just would like, again, to give a shout out to Todd Kenley because NWA fan, #NWA fan, we made this happen. This is a thing now. I think it really felt official tonight that the Burke is the Burke. That's the name of that title. That's the nickname for that title, just like Sweet Charlotte and the 10 pounds of gold. The Burke has, I feel like it's been officially ordained. It's been said on a pay-per-view. So, very cool, I thought.
Definitely shout out to Todd, man. He is killing it week after week on commentary. He's become a friend of the podcast. I mean, we've known him for informally for a long time, but he's been very kind to us, and we always want to repay the favor. But those kinds of things, those acknowledgments, I think, just show the kind of professional that he is, and he has done a great job announcing on Primetime Live. I can't say enough good things about Todd, man.
Yeah, I mean, I just mentioned Chris Dickinson being kind of the tie that binds everything, but I mean, Todd's the real tie. I mean, he's been there every week. His voice has been the one keeping us informed. So, props to you, Todd. We appreciate it. But yeah, that was really cool to hear him say that. I was kind of like, our Discord lit up a little bit. We were like, "Did you hear that?" So that was pretty cool.
Yep. So the next matchup, of course, is Peter Avalon versus Chris Dickinson. And not nice to see Peter Avalon show back up. Yet another AEW talent now, the librarian. And I love his entrance music, by the way, too. But anyway, he comes out shushing everyone and does his little thing to get his heat. And he's Avalon, for those that don't know, is a longtime mainstay in David Marquez productions and just championship wrestling from Hollywood and Arizona and everywhere, just a United Wrestling Network celebrity. And so it was nice for him to get a chance to come back in here. And he takes on Chris Dickinson. I got to say, Will, I thought that Dickinson was going to make short work of Peter Avalon, and he did not. Like, Peter Avalon actually was slick and worked that leg pretty well and had Dickinson reeling for a while there. And by the end of it, it only made Dickinson look even more badass when he delivered like that. What was it, like a bridge suplex with one leg, just standing on one leg and one leg even in the air during the bridge, like holding him down. It was just pretty impressive. But anyway, Dickinson does end up getting the win here. 1, 2, 3, beats Peter Avalon and advances as the first person to advance to the second round of the tournament.
Yeah, it was surprising. Again, in context, though, you're coming out of just seeing Thunder Rosa lose the NWA Women's World Championship. So, I was kind of in a fog during this match a little bit still.
Same, buddy. Yeah.
Because we were, obviously our group chat was lighting up and we were all reacting to the Thunder Rosa match. But, I thought this would be my one criticism, I think, of the night. I thought the match was great. I loved, how they tried to play up, Peter Avalon being sneaky and really working that knee. And Chris Dickinson did a great job of selling the knee. I think he's got a week off, so he can probably sell the knee for a couple more weeks, which will be cool because he took a beating on that knee. And but I get and I'm aware of the history that Peter Avalon has with UWN. But this is one of those things when we talk about authenticity and believability. If you've seen him in any capacity on AEW, what we saw tonight was not, there was no congruency. There was no like he was a different person, but he was in the same gimmick. Does that make sense? And so there was just kind of a lack of continuity in my mind when I'm looking at that, because I'm like, well, I've seen him on AEW, for the past year, and he has not been that tough, and now suddenly against a guy like Chris Dickinson, who took the AEW World Champion to the limit. So now should Peter Avalon face John Moxley and have a chance? You know what I mean? So there was just some some weird, when we talk about that authenticity in wrestling and the believability in wrestling and the storylines and how they're executed and things like that. That was a black mark for me. But looking at the match in a vacuum, I thought it was entertaining. I thought it was a cool journey. And yeah, like you mentioned, I loved Dickinson selling that knee, and he, would do a suplex and would go for a pin, but he couldn't get his balance. And commentary again did a great job of pointing out all these little nuances of the way that his knee was affecting his ability to get a pinfall. And it was a great in-ring story. And I didn't really have any doubt that Dickinson was gonna win. So I wasn't shocked at the outcome, but I was definitely shocked at how the match went.
Will, you always make so many good points, man. You're absolutely right. I mean, I understand the congruency, all that's true, but we have seen that.
Yeah, I'll just go screw myself. So
you do too. You do too. Hey,
Gary,
you do too, Gear Bear. You do too, Gear Bear. You're making a really good point, man. And I was thinking the same thing. But then I was thinking, one of the things that I like about, and I've always liked about Marquez is, and what we're seeing so far in the first 2 seasons of UW, or the first 2 iterations of UWN, the bundles of the 4-week months or packets, is that we're seeing this menagerie of talent that have always been around and that are great talents. Like, I'd always heard of Chris Dickinson. I'd never really watched him until UWN. I mean, I wish I had. I'm going to go back. But I was like, I've seen Peter Avalon because of AEW, and I've been familiar with him. And he's been on NWA before too, with some of the what was the show? Was it 70 that he was on, or was it?
He was on 70 with Tim Storm.
Yeah. Okay. So, we've seen him, and I totally get that. But, one of the things I like is like UWN has proven to be very responsive to the desire of its fan base for prize fight wrestling. And I'll give you 2 words to prove it. This. All right. So we were all critical. And then
it said Gentleman Jervis.
Gentleman Jervis. 5 words. Gentleman Jervis. we were critical of the antics, right? And we had our exchange with him. He was completely awesome to us, and we, in turn, he earned our respect. What did he do? He came back and he showed us, hey, I'm not just a freaking joke, man. I'm a real legit. And he really did, man. They came out, and the Friendship Farm put out one of the best tag team matches I've seen in a long time. Earned my respect. They got my respect. They got my attention. Same thing. I was thinking the same thing about Avalon. He's not going to stand a chance against Chris Dickinson, the Dirty Daddy, the filthy father. Come on now. You got to clean. You got to take your shoes off. Respect this house, But we're talking about UWN now. Peter Avalon is a legit talent. He has held every belt. He's held that belt, that heritage title. He has done it, and what we saw tonight is, I think, the direction that UWN is trying to steer, and that is in the direction of what we preach: prize fighting, week after week, prize fighting. And when you got a prize fight, Chris Dickinson hadn't annihilated anybody yet that we've seen. He's had great matches, but every match has been a hard-fought one, or hard-won fight. Every match has been a hard-won fight, and that is just the caliber of talent that we see coming through. My only thought every time I see Chris Dickinson fight is like, dude, I want to see him wrestle Mike Bennett, which we will see, and I want to see him wrestle Nick Aldis. That's what I think every time. But I can't provide any insight on this particular match because I haven't seen it yet because I'm in the graveyards. So quote unquote front row, whatever it take. Hey, take that however you will. I'm out in the cold, but I will be seeing it tomorrow because I've got Gary's login information.
Rob, Rob, you'll be happy to know the Dodgers have officially won the World Series as well. So that also happened.
National League, boy. National League. The oldest league does it and brings it home to me as a Braves fan. I love that.
At least the team your team lost to,
But my daughter's team won, and it is her birthday today.
Happy birthday,
Piper.
And so congratulations to the Dodgers. Well deserved. We all knew you guys are the best team in baseball this year. Well, you got a little lucky with the Braves, but you've been there in the last 5 years. You earned it, and I can't wait to tell Piper she's going to lose her mind.
Yep. I do want to say James H. Jackson Jr., and as we're wrapping this thing up on the main part and getting into the chat, James H. Jackson Jr. pointing out that he disagrees. The correct match was the main event. The UWN World Title should main event a UWN pay-per-view. I hear what you're saying, and I know you even mean just the fact that it's the tournament match. But for me, this was just a round of the tournament. This wasn't even like the finals or the semifinals. This is the first round of the tournament. The NWA Women's Championship should be regarded as the main event. And I think I'm backed up in that point by the fact that I think we said it, and I'm seeing it in the chat in multiple places and on Twitter. People were talking about they were a little put off, like it was hard to concentrate on the Dickinson Avalon match after the result of the NWA Women's Championship match. So that should let you know that should have been the finale.
Yeah. I mean, it almost took away from what and I know in terms of creative and booking, what they are trying to position it that way, because obviously at the end of the day, it's still a UWN show, and they are, and this is not a knock on them. They're doing what they should do. They are positioning themselves, but in terms of what happened and how things panned out, Thunder Rosa and Serena Deeb should have absolutely been the main event and the last match of the show. Because if they were trying to give a spotlight to that match, it almost took away because it happened right after the title change. So it just didn't really make sense logically, even from that standpoint.
Well, I mean, if you go look at Twitter right now, I mean, the thing that's highlighting, that's trending on Twitter that everybody's talking about is this NWA Women's Championship match. Yeah. That's the big news item.
Right.
It doesn't get bigger than that.
It's like the nature of tournaments. One, a first round match is not going to pit your top seed against your second seed. It's going to tip your top seed against a lower seed. And so that would never be in the main event anywhere. I don't care if it's WN. But secondly, if you want to make the technical argument that we're talking about UWN, let's be real here. This is an UWN/NWA show. You look at that poster, Nick Aldis is front and center, okay? And we're talking about not a potential world title, which the UWN title is not a world title. It's not. You can call it that, but it's not. But we do have a world title already, which is the Burke. And that should be the main event. There's not a meritorious argument. There's not a social media. There's not a popular argument. There's not a technical argument against this. That main event should have been Deeb and Thunder Rosa.
Well, even if you're looking at the UWN as the main entity, I mean, we did have a heritage title match that opened the show. So really, that if you were just going to put the UWN current titles, as the tiers, that should have been the main event. Again, like you're saying, not a first round tournament match, but hands down, I'm just saying all that hypothetically, hands down, Thunder Rosa Serena Deeb should have been the main event of the night. There was nothing that could even come close to being as big as that, especially given the way that the outcome went.
That's the major
break. I love this, man, because I love we can come up in here and just smack each other around. Man, I'm smacking you around right now, James Jackson, but I only do it because I love you. You're my brother, and I love the debate.
Well, one thing I loved also coming out of this pay-per-view is they made some announcements for next week. Before I get to that, though, I immediately, when Serena Deeb won the 1-2-3, she's the NWA Women's Championship. There was already a line, and I love that too. We've seen she's going to be defending it tomorrow night, but I immediately saw a tweet from Camille saying congrats. And dang, I thought I was going to get to take it off Thunder Rosa, but I guess Serena going to have to get some. I saw Heather Monroe says, okay, cool, gimme. And so it was interesting, just ladies stepping up there ready to take the Burke off of Serena Deeb's hands. So very cool.
That again shows you we're talking about women across the world, established women. And even if they don't have the experience pedigree like a Heather Monroe, we've got certainly a popular appeal from Camille. The women, all the biggest names in the world, have looked to the Burke. And guess where it's going to be at tomorrow night on AEW? Guess who else is going to be looking at that? Rest assured, Hikaru Shida is going to be looking at that. Promise you. Bet.
Yeah, that's a good point. So next week, they did promise us we will see Heather Monroe in action. She will be back next week. And all three of the rest of the other first-round matchups. You'll get Fred Rosser versus Carl Fredericks, Davey Boy Smith Jr. versus Mike Bennett, and Eric Redbeard makes his debut as he takes on Watts. And, of course, the big news, as for next week, is the debut of Lio Rush, which is very cool. So Lio Rush going to be showing up on UWN Prime Time Live, so that's exciting. So I'm pumped to tune in next week and see what goes on. Do you guys have anything to add before we jump into the chat here? So chat, get your stuff ready. We got about 15 minutes to hang out with you guys and just shoot the breeze, so to speak.
No, I'll just say that I am really excited for the perceived reemergence of the NWA World Tag Team Championships. I've been waiting for a long time since Power went on hiatus to just hear mention of the belts like I did tonight. So that was a breath of fresh air for me.
It's almost like someone over there is listening to us. Yeah. We say this, we got to hit, boom, lo and behold, it appears. We say this, hey, maybe we shouldn't do so much chicanery and tomfoolery. They respond with a friendship farm. and Peter Avalon. We say, look, we've seen all the belts. Maybe it's about time we see the tag belts. Boom, lo and behold, there they are. We decide one day, hey, you know, we should call this belt the Burke. Now everybody's calling it the Burke.
Well, we certainly appreciate that. We know we've got some friends over in the UWN offices that are very supportive of us, and we try to be very supportive of them. So we are grateful for that bond. It's very cool to have that going on. Front row pointing out Serena did a great post-match backstage promo talking about the legacy of the title and what Thunder Rosa has accomplished. Love it. So that's cool. Thanks for pointing that out, front row. Willa Goblin, ever the dissenter, pointing out that not even Moolah and Wendy Richter got the main event.
Can I say something to that, man?
I knew you would.
You're
That's really why I brought it up.
You're absolutely right. But do you really want to go back to those times of women wrestling when it was a caricature, when it was a sideshow, when it wasn't taken seriously? Come on, Goblin. This is not those days. We have progressed, and now women's wrestling is considered on a par. You can't deny it. I'm gonna tell you right now, you know, Thunder Rosa has been the hottest draw in wrestling, period. Everybody popped in. I mean, you're talking about going viral on Twitter after the Sheeta Thunder Rosa match, so, you know, the first one. These are not those times. And we're not talking about, you know, women being what's the word I'm looking for? Manipulated or being we're not talking about those days anymore. It's not the same days. It's not the same equation where you're out there, you throw them out there, and I'm just going to use this word just for dramatic purposes here, not because it's the word I use, but you put the women out there with the midgets. You know what I'm saying? You put the women out there with this and that. It's not the same analogy, bro. Come on. You know better than that.
I would like to point out that we also did get a nice RT from NWA that has got some play here. We're talking about, wow, big news on Primetime Live. Aaron Stevens has said he's bringing the question mark back, and they want James Storm and Eli Drake for the NWA Tag Team Championship. Will they accept? And the NWA retweeted that, and Aaron Stevens replied to the tweet saying, wow, NWA has acknowledged my existence on this planet. Stay tuned, lots more to come. And NWA has replied saying, that's what a professional company does with even a less than professional person. Aaron Stevens has given them the thumbs down to that.
Oh, easy now.
I'm just glad that we at This Is the NWA podcast could bridge the gap, bring some reconciliation between Aaron Stevens and the NWA, open back up the lines of communication. I'm glad that we could play a part in that.
Yes, sir.
What else is going on in the chat? What else do you guys want to talk about before we wrap this thing up? Rock said 79 asking, how long before Redbeard beat Aldous for the title?
Hold on. Let me stop you right there. No, I'm just kidding. It'd be a good – I'd like to see it, man. I'd like to see the match, no doubt. That's a good call.
I'd say not in my lifetime. That's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen, but I like to see the match.
Yeah. Rosville over here missing the Dawsons. Haven't seen them in a long time.
Yeah. Oh, that's Will's boys right there.
I don't know.
Tag teams, man. Dawson's.
Oh, like okay. So I like tag team wrestling. So now every tag team is like my boys. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Rob's mine, I guess.
Randy
Yo, look at the Beverly Brothers. Those are Will's boys.
Randy and Bill Schwartz going in. That's Will's boys right
That's my boys. That's my boys. That's a tag team, right? Oh, those are my boys.
Barry Horowitz and Jobber number 2.
Oh, that's my boys. That's my boys.
Oh man.
Hey Rob, I'll lob another comment to you. I can't find this in the chat, but somebody was mentioning that the Dodgers have now won 2 shortened season World Series titles in the last 40 years. But I'll just hand that over to you. The last shortened season
was 94, right? That'd have been 94. That'd have been the years that the Braves were certainly going to beat the Expos for the championship. And the very next year, 95, we won it, which means that next year it comes.
It's us. It's all us.
I love it, Will. You my man, bro.
Let's see here.
Life is good, bro. Life is good.
I'm glad I could bring you some joy.
I love that we're sitting here, man, you know, in the middle of a global pandemic, and we're talking about the two greatest sports in the world, man.
There you go.
I love it.
Paladin in here stirring it up. James Storm's going to Impact, and now Rosa's dropping the belt, probably signing with AEW. What's next?
Ooh, Rob, take that one.
Who y'all threw it to me?
Yeah,
we're throwing all these.
Okay,
this is just Q&A with
pretty
Rob.
soon. Hashtag NWA fan, Bearded Trio. This is the NWA pod. This is Pro Wrestling is going to be offering a degree where you can go and train at Tried and True to be a wrestler and then earn other credentials alongside that, like how to cut a promo, how to build a super card, how to build a feud, just the essentials of a prize fight, and the components of a meta promotion. And there's only going to be one chapter in that particular lesson, and that is the National Wrestling Alliance. Listen to me. It's a meta promotion. She might go and sign with AEW. Heck, I would. But she's still going to be NWA because the NWA is a meta promotion. It's not like any other promotion. Listen to me. Listen to me. The NWA belt has always appeared anywhere and everywhere in the 80s during the territory days. By the way, that's what we called it then. We called it territories. It might appear in World Class. It might appear in Mid-Atlantic. It might appear in the AWA. It might appear in Georgia Championship Wrestling. It might appear here. It might appear there. Nothing's changed, guys. Thunder Rosa needs to go and get hers and get whatever payout she's got coming because she should be making millions. But she's still going to be a contender for that NWA belt forever. That is what a meta promotion is. So, yes, she may do this. James Storm, they're workers. They've got to earn a living. They've got to go out and get that pay dirt. But they're still going to be in the discussion. You know, this is not to say that you don't have the core that appear on Power weekly, week after week, and then they'll make up the essential roster. But look at even through the Power era of talents that showed up all the time here and there, from ODB to Nikita Koloff to Scott Steiner to the Dawsons to the Rock and Roll Express. You know, talents would come and they would go, they'd make their appearance, and then they would go off and do other things. I fully expect Thunder Rosa to be in the NWA for a long, long, long time. I expect James Storm to be a presence in the NWA for a long, long, long time. That does not preclude them from appearing somewhere else except for perhaps the WWE. I'll take from there.
I mean, and let's not. I mean, listen. To add to that, Serena Deeb is under contract as an AEW wrestler, and she's the NWA Women's Champion. So saying that someone would go sign with AEW and then that's it, they're done. Like, the current NWA Women's World Champion is signed with AEW. So you're exactly right, Rob. It doesn't that these contracts and these things that we're conditioned to like look at as these huge things just because WWE has conditioned us to believe that these contracts are so exclusive and now they can't do anything. It's just not the case anywhere outside of WWE. So we've been saying this for months and months and months, but we've got to like get that out of our head. We've got to start viewing wrestling differently than the way WWE has conditioned us to view it in the last 10 years.
Is James Lawrence in the chat tonight?
I haven't seen him.
Well, James Lawrence has been out there doing yeoman's work arguing that point. Every time I see him out there out on Twitter, something he's talking about. And this is a guy who's very critical of AEW. Okay. So this isn't like, he's not like the standard guy that you think is just going to nod and accept anything we say. Look at it, man. It's not like we're just saying this because it's easy for us to say. Nick Aldis, right before the shutdown, where was Nick Aldis regularly appearing? Where was he, guys? Anybody?
Ring of Honor.
Ring of Honor. Is Ring of Honor NWA? Don't they have a roster of their own? There you go. It does not matter. It is irrelevant. The more that NWA talent can appear elsewhere, and the more that their talent can appear in the NWA, the better. That is how prize fight wrestling should be. That's that's how it should be.
And the more that talent outside the NWA, like Serena Deeb, like Hikaru Shida, the more that they pine after the Burke or another title in the NWA, the more validity it brings to the fact that it is a true world's championship. You know, it's not a promotional championship. It's, as you're saying, it's a meta title. It transcends contracts and it transcends promotions. And the more that this stuff happens, as much as we want to get pissed off about it and get real territorial, no pun intended, that it makes it bigger, you know?
Yeah, I think you put it best, Will, with like the term, like, I mean, where you said WWE has this condition to think that this certain way of wrestling is how it's always been, and that's really not the case at all. Like it's more than not, it's been a broad spectrum of different promotions just competing with each other, sharing talent, people moving from place to place. We can get back to something similar to that. Obviously, I mean, contracts are always going to be a big deal, and different promotions are going to have a different amount of visibility, I suppose. But you want it. I mean, as fans, we should demand it, honestly, at this point, that these promotions open up their doors. I mean, WWE is going to be the last place that does it, if ever. But you want to see New Japan and AEW and NWA and ROH and MLW, everybody just passing back and forth one place to the other. Just anybody could show up anywhere at any time.
We've seen all of that. We've seen all of that as NWA fans with our brands here in the last, in the last 9 months. Heck, the Bearded Trio are going to see Nick Aldis face Brian Pillman Jr., who guess where Brian Pillman Jr. was just at? Freaking Impact and doggone Talking Shopomania. You know, come on now. I mean,
and he's been on AEW.
Read the Hornbaker book. Read Brian Solomon's book, The Bible of the History of Pro Wrestling. You got it there handy there, Will, so they can see what it looks like?
I don't, man.
That's right. It's called Pro Wrestling FAQ. Read that book. It's essential reading. But what that will teach you is that what WWE has done is not the norm. It is the aberration. It is very, very new to a sport that dates back to the 1860s and 1870s. We have a championship that dates back at least to 1905, probably well before that, because in 1905, it wasn't like they just woke up one day and said, hey, you're the world. They were acknowledging guys that were already decidedly not universally, but widely recognized as champions. The whole notion of like, we're going to ignore the rest of the world and just do our own thing, that is a relatively new thing in the history of wrestling. The WWE is still in its infancy. You got to remember that. Okay. So, it's not that big a deal. It's not as big a deal as you think. It's a big deal for Thunder Rosa to go get a lot of money. She should. I'm just saying, Thunder, please don't sign with WWE. Please don't do that.
They wanted her as a ref, so I don't think they're going to do that.
Well, I don't know if you guys could see earlier. I shared the screen for a minute there, but on Twitter, Thunder has issued a tweet that just says it's time to say goodbye. So very ominous there.
In that pot.
Yeah, so interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what's next there. I would be remiss if I did not allow this message to get shown. Hold on, let me find it. Robert Bennett, thanks for joining us tonight. Only one reference of Hammerstone tonight.
Gosh,
if we'd like to take a minute to just pay homage to Alexander Hammerstone and everything he's done for us.
Isn't he MLW though?
Yeah, but I mean,
we can't talk about him.
It's meta, Will. Hammerstone, the Beef Castle.
Meta meat. He's meta meat.
He's Meat Mountain. Meat Mountain. There he is. So we could. This has been your moment of Hammerstone.
Perfect. That's perfect.
I hope you guys can appreciate that. Anything else we need to cover before we wrap this thing up? It's midnight, babies. Daddy got to work tomorrow, so we gotta.
Dirty Daddy? Chris Dickinson ain't working tomorrow.
No, bro. Dirty Daddy already worked. He did his work. And for some reason he's going to get like a couple of weeks off before his next match. You know, I don't know how long the other fellas get, but we'll see. Anyway, Rob, Will, anything you wanted to add to this show this evening?
Nope. Lots to talk about. Lots to wait and see. I'll definitely have my eyes on Dynamite tomorrow night because wherever the Burt goes, so does my attention. So say what you want, hate me if you want, but I will be watching Dynamite tomorrow night.
Mm-hmm. We love you guys, man. Even I love getting in here and debating and arguing the greatest sport. You might think that for me, wrestling is the greatest sport. Wrestling is greater than baseball. Wrestling is greater than baseball. And I love baseball, guys. And I love debating Woodland Goblin. And I love debating James Jackson. And I love more than anything else besides the sweet, sensual touch of the lovely Tanya Stinson.
I thought you were going to say Will Martin.
I love the touch. I love the touch of Will Martin and Gary Horn, man.
Oh, wow. Look at that. Stepped on your punchline there, but
I was like, aside from the sweet touch of Tanya Stinson and Maeve, I mean, I love what was it? What did I?
Sorry, my headphone. I think it was shorting out. Go ahead.
Oh no, we love it, guys. Man, we had a great time tonight. I have not seen this show. I'm purely just here for context tonight. We are in a big time internet outage up here in North Georgia. Somebody cut a freaking fiber optic up here at the Split 2475, and I don't have internet, so I'm here in the parking lot of Walmart, just here because I love you guys. I love my boys. I love talking about wrestling, and hopefully my junk will be up tomorrow, man. Shoot, because I need to see this
That's
show.
What she said. Rock says 79. Play it dirty, saying Thunder Rosa's look mixed with Halloween Havoc. Uh-oh. we see her show up on WWE. That'll be a bummer. They're bringing back Halloween Havoc. So Front Row is asking what happens to Thunder's upcoming advertised title defenses. I mean, stay tuned. She had plenty. So these are all the questions.
Oh, you know what I just thought?
What?
They have 2 vacancies in the tournament. In the Mission Pro tournament.
That's true. Alex Garcia and Red Velvet are out. So that's interesting. It's an interesting.
And Rosa get into that tournament and
no. Front Row.
I don't know. I'm just saying. I don't know.
Leave it to our boy Front Row. Sensual touches with the bearded trio on After Dark. Guys, thank you so much for being here. And if you haven't already, if you're not subscribed, please hit subscribe. Tell your friends to hit subscribe. Tell your family to hit subscribe. Even if they don't watch it, just tell them to go hit subscribe so we can get up to like 1,000 people so that we can start monetizing the channel. That'd be awesome. But seriously, we do appreciate you and hope you guys are enjoying this as much as we are. Next week on Primetime Live, Leo Rush debuts, all 3 of the other first round tournament matches, Heather Monroe, all stuff that keeps us coming back for more. So we hope you guys will be here with us next Tuesday. We're also live on Sunday nights as well, so you guys can join us for that. Rob, tell people where they can find you on the social medias.
Man, I'm everywhere these days, man. You might see me on freaking LinkedIn. You might see me on might see me on Farmers Only. You might see me. Heck, you might see me on TikTok once a week. I think I got one coming out tomorrow. I don't even need Will anymore for TikTok. I do need to log in though. I do need to log in because I ain't got that. It's just gonna be on my poor channel with 4 followers. But I'm anywhere you can find me. You will find me at This Is Dr. Stinson.
William. Who? Wilson. I'm sorry, Wilson.
Hey, it's Will right here on everywhere except for TikTok, where I'm heyitswill.com, which is a great reminder to check out heyitswill.com, which is my new website, my new business venture. So go check it out.
Dude, it'd be cool, man. It'd be really cool if you started a Patreon, Will, for your new business.
That would be really cool. Hey, you know what? I did, Rob. I did start a Patreon. You can find all that information at heyitswill.com.
But most people are probably thinking, well, I want to support Will, but I don't have, most Patreons are requiring like 70, 40, 50, even,
$972.
Yeah. I mean, how are they going to support you at that cost, bro?
Well, you can start at $4.99. How about that?
What?
Look at that.
For $4.99 a month, they can support you?
Yeah, just once a month.
That's a doggone Subway sandwich, man. Not even a full foot. That's a 6-inch Subway sandwich.
While we do love our Will Martin, and we are grateful for him, and you guys should definitely go support his Patreon. I do also want to make sure we give a shout out, and the people are already doing it in the chat. Thank you to Rock Says 79 here in the chat. Glad I found you guys, as I'm just now getting into the NWA. So this is awesome to get caught up quicker. Rock Says 79. Thank you so much for being here, buddy. We appreciate you watching. So yeah, make sure you hit that subscribe. Follow us on the Twitter and everywhere. And yeah, folks, tell this gentleman. Hopefully, drop it in the chat if you haven't already. Where your Twitter, your Instagram, whatever, so people can connect with you. The hashtag NWA fam is what we call ourselves, and we are happy to have another member. So please be sure to reach out to us. We're here Tuesdays and Sundays always. So come hang out. I am at This Is Gary Horn. The show is at the NWA Pod, and we look forward to hanging out with you guys some more. And until next week, enjoy